All right, Bears offense, let's just hit on that too, because we know we've been here for the last 3 or 4 days in Chicago. Everybody is really the only concern, other than the kicker on the football team, is Mitchell Trubisky. And I will argue, I understand Mitchell Trubisky's not perfect, and he's certainly got to improve as being a pocket passing quarterback. That's his biggest weakness. And as we watch playoff football every year, the quarterbacks who can throw in from in the pocket are the ones that end up in the Super Bowl or in the AFC Championship game for the most part. He has an issue with that altogether, but I'm not putting all the blame on him. I do think that Matt Nagy's offense, it does everything, but it does nothing good. And that, to me, is one issue that I have with the Bears offense.
Well, and this idea that maybe if they would establish the run and run the ball, and do the Trubisky stuff off of a running game, that's fine. But don't you need to have a real identity as a running game? Don't you need a guy
to be the workhorse guy,
pounding and pounding,
I agree with that
and getting better in the fourth quarter? You know, we hear about those guys all the time.
Right.
A Marshawn Lynch type of a guy, an Adrian Peterson type of a guy. Not that they're easy to find, but it's easier to find one of those than it is to find a franchise quarterback.
Yes.
And this idea that Tariq Cohen's the number one guy, and then there's Mike Davis, and then there's David Montgomery.
And then Cordell Patterson was in on one play.
And nobody ever gets into a rhythm.
I think that's the whole offense. That bothers me. It feels that way. You know, I used to even have this little thing with, like, you know, when I was in Tampa and the quarterback for John Gruden, and, you know, there would be times where, you know, we'd get it done with practice, and he'd be like, we ran 190 plays today in practice. And, hey, that was cool, how fast we could practice and do things like that. But I would come away sometimes going, yeah, we ran 190 plays in practice, but we screwed up 100 of them. And is that a good thing that we screwed up 100 out of the 190 plays? I mean, so there, you know, again, I think the really good offensive football teams start somewhere at a base level. New England grows their offense and goes, we're going to be good at this, and we're not going to move on to the next process of our offense until we're good at this, and then we're built from there. And I think that's what Shanahan and McVay and Sean Payton all do as well. And I just feel like the Bears is a little bit all over the place.
And even if you design your offensive game plan based upon the opponent you're facing, there's still a sense for a team that has an offense where it's working. It's almost like cat and mouse.
Yeah.
Where or if you ever played somebody who's really, really good at tennis, and like me, I was never all that good, and they just say, okay, now you're going to run over here. Now you're going to run over here. Now you're going to run over here. All right, now I'll just be done with you. And that's what I think every team should aspire to have offensively, and that's the level that Matt Nagy is supposed to be taking these Bears to.
Right.
And so far, not even close to being there.
No, not even close. But we did see some good defensive play, and I do want to give Mike Pettin some credit, because that Packers defensive game plan was phenomenal, and you could see the additions of some of the draft picks and free agents they have truly improved that defense to where they can do just about anything you want on the defensive side of the ball, and they're going to be a pain in the butt, like the Bears defense, for whoever they play this year.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.